let's take RRR or any of these new movies that they all do it. They shoot it three times. I'm assuming, right? Like once in
Correct,
Tamil, once in Telugu, once in maybe
correct,
Hindi, right? Like one of these three
correct,
languages.
correct.
You're saying with visual dub now, I potentially don't have to do that. Like I can just
Yes,
shoot in one language.
yes.
Okay.
In the last 1 month, I met up with pretty very A-listed producers and directors in the Hindi film industry, and they were all jumping to see that this technology is being built from India. They were shocked actually,
Hmm.
and they said, "Look, it solves not only this visual the problem, it solves the problem of reshoot. It also solves another big problem. So, for example, let's say you're making a Hindi film, but you want to cast an actor from the south. You cannot cast, right,
Hmm.
because they are not comfortable with the language, so dubbing will happen and then it will look out of sync. But now this technology will allow them to cast anyone. I mean, tomorrow you can have a Japanese actor in a Hindi film and speaking in perfect Hindi.
Hey, Mandar, how are you? Thank you for coming on to the Everything AI podcast.
Thanks, buddy. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm quite excited about this.
Yeah, I'm actually super surprised that I just shot a cold message on LinkedIn. You were like, "Yeah, let's absolutely do this." So this is nice.
Look, as founders, we have to be really quick in everything, right?
Right.
And I think one of the things that at least I've been following from a lot of time in my corporate career is, if I see the message and if I have time, I immediately respond, whether yes or
Nice.
no. So
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like
yeah, I
sometimes the
mean,
Indian culture can be like,
that message hit me at a time when I was like slightly easy, and I was just checking through stuff. So it was a happy coincidence.
nice. So maybe a good time to hit founders is like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the afternoon, post of Monday, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, as founders, we are always active, always on the move, and
Right.
always responsive.
Yeah. Sweet. Anyway, thank you so much, Mother, for doing this. I feel like you have an amazing track record. I mean, like you were at Viacom for a year and a half. You were the SVP there. Uh, I mean,
Viacom,
sorry, maybe a
five and
longer,
a half years, 5.5 years totally. Yeah,
5.5 years at Viacom, and then after that, yeah, you were. I think you were freelancing for a bit with I think Alt Balaji. I think as a management consultant. I'm just
yeah,
going
yeah.
through your
Times
record in
Television
some sense.
Network for 3 years, Reliance Entertainment for a little over 2 years, Turner for 5.5 years. So it's been like a 20 plus years in media and entertainment business.
So how did Neural Garage come along? Actually, I want to talk about Visual Dub, but like, what's the connection between starting with the word or with the theme Neural Garage and then kind of creating one of these products?
Hmm. See, the thing is, after working for more than 2 decades, one really hits. I mean, doesn't happen to everyone, but I just got bored of doing the same old, same old. So I had
Sure.
kind of decided to take a full career break and probably, get an executive MBA done. And I'd got admission into a couple of Ivy League colleges. But then COVID happened, everything went topsy turvy. But what I was sure about is I didn't want to go back to a job. So I said, now that I've taken a break, let me kind of take a break. What I did in that point was I put up some updates on LinkedIn saying, look, this is my experience. And if I can be of use to any founders who are building,
Mm.
happy to kind of do this absolutely gratis. A kind of paid forward. I mean, through my career, I got a lot of help from my mentors and advisors. So I felt if I can mentor somebody, it would be like paying it forward, right? So I started mentoring a few startups.
Mandar, which
Uh,
year was this?
this was all through 20 and early 21.
Okay, so right on the
And
back of the
then
middle of the pandemic.
I got connected with my current co-founders, and they were building this technology actually. And because I came from a very deep entertainment background, they kind of jammed with me on what are the things that could be done with this tech. And eventually, the chemistry really hit off. We felt that we had a vibe, and we decided to kind of build this together. So that laid the foundation of Neural Garage in July 21. That's when the company was formed. And the technology we are developing is, as you know, rightly know, VisualDub.
Right.
Basically, this technology removes the visual discord that we see in dub content
Right.
in one sentence. And that really came from our own personal experience of watching a lot of dubbed content on Netflix and on Prime, on Apple TV, and feeling this visual discord. And my
Mm.
co-founders thought it would be a great idea to take a shot at solving it, and that's how the whole journey started.
Yeah. Fair enough. I actually, surprisingly, because of Netflix today, I watched a lot of dub content. I mean, like, one of the biggest examples might be Love is Blind Brazil. But then I
Yeah,
end up
yeah,
watching it as they're actually speaking in Portuguese, but with the subtitles because the
correct,
dissonance is
correct,
there, right?
correct. Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And you mentioned that why neural garage. So basically, neural, because at the heart of all AI are neural networks. So neural comes from there,
Sure.
and garage is our tribute to all the big tech companies that started out of a garage, like Microsoft,
Mm.
Apple, YouTube, Google, obviously. So
Right.
hence we felt, neural garage is a plus. It also conveys that we'll be tinkering around with technology, and there could be more tech products out of this company in the future.
Nice. So, Mother, when you met your co-founders, at what stage were they in?
Research stage.
So they hadn't built the product yet. It was more
No,
a
no, no, no.
let's jam
It
and
was just
okay.
research and a very, very early stage of a demo. Very early stage.
Okay, interesting. Actually, I want to segue a little bit into this piece, right? Which I feel like there are a lot of these people with complementing skill sets and they're finding difficult to meet their co-founders, right? Like I come from, let's say, a non-tech background. How do you meet this deep tech kind of folks, or vice versa, right? Like meet folks like you who are already have like an enterprise kind of background. So where, if you had to reverse engineer that, what would that look like for people to kind of meet people with complementing skill sets?
I think the best way to connect with people is truly LinkedIn. I think
Yeah,
if one uses a platform really well, and not for some absurd make believe stories,
sure.
if you're professional and if you actually share professional stuff, the amount of connects that you can make is phenomenal.
Interesting.
And I've been kind of active, not overactive, but decently active on LinkedIn, sharing past experiences and experiences of our current build, and that has really connected me with some awesome people. And
Hmm.
one more important thing that happens is, look, people, I think people by default are happy to help if asked for it,
True.
right? And I
So true.
only met good people in through my experiences. So I mean, and I like to pay it forward. So if
Yeah.
somebody reaches out to me, I'm always happy to help, create a connect or whatever I can do from my point of view. So I think
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a great tool to connect with people that you want to connect with.
And I feel like that's your energy also. Uh, I feel like your energy is if you're paying it forward, then I think you will kind of get back that that kind of energy, right?
Yeah, look, one doesn't do it from that point of view. I mean, you have to be genuine in what you do, right? You cannot have. I mean, in a certain sense, it has to be selfless. You have to do it because you feel it is the right thing to do, and whether you get anything back, that's irrelevant,
That's true.
right? So
Right.
when I offered my time as a paid forward, I didn't expect anything in return. I mean, founders used to ask me, "Look, are you expecting any equity or whatever?" I said, "I expect nothing.
Mm.
All I expect is helping you to solve your problem if there is." So founders used to be a little surprised also, saying, "Ye banda pagal hai thoda," because I mean, I have seen it in our current thing, right? When some people, when you ask for help, the first thing you ask is, "What will I get? Can I get some advisor
Yeah.
equity and all of that?" So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess, but I don't work like that.
That's cool. So wait, so I see from your kind of experience, you've primarily been in Bombay,
Yes.
right? But looks like you've been in Bangalore the last few years. So how did that move
Last,
happen?
no, I'm not based in
Sorry.
Bangalore. I'm not based. You see, Bangalore is a great ecosystem for tech companies. Hiring is easier because you get tech talent, and the entire environment is conducive to building tech businesses and investments. Right? I'm based in Bombay. I keep shuttling Bombay and Bangalore for the simple
Okay.
reason that the whole client ecosystem for our technology in India is concentrated around Bombay.
That's
So
true.
it just makes sense for me to be close to my clients and then also be close to my teams, and my co-founders.
Makes
I
sense.
think it works well. 2 weeks in Bombay, 1 week in Bangalore. solves the current situation.
Nice. So coming back to some other coming back to so cool. I like the name Neural Garage. It kind of feels like the breeding ground for like neural products, right? Or like AI driven products. Uh, how did was the use case very clear from the beginning that hey, we're going to launch our first product's going to be VisualDub AI because there is that visual dissonance, or hey, here are the a plethora of ideas that you kind of played around with to finally be like this is going to be our first kind of flagship product.
No, no, we were very clear from the word go that we are
Okay.
building this product to solve this problem. We were very, there was no ambiguity at all. We had like absolutely tunnel vision focus that this is what we are building to solve this problem. And see what happens is because I come from the domain and I have some
Hmm.
level of experience and network and contacts there, I could immediately sense that this technology has many legs. So from films to OTT platforms to advertising to education to the creator economy. I mean,
Yeah.
and we always know, right, that today's innovation is tomorrow's normal. So
True.
I presume that in the next 3 years, this technology will be a part of every content creator suite. This kind of technology, let me say it, and we hope that Visual Dub continues to gain a larger mind share and business share.
Right. So when you said in terms of use cases, very clear, right? So now, are you seeing certain power users come to you? Because I feel like with enterprise, there can be a long sales cycle. Like whereas creators, it can be like, hey, this is a no-brainer. I can absolutely use it quickly, right? So like, are you seeing the adoption be in a certain way?
See, we've just put our technology out in the market for commercial use 3 months back, and we've had like an awesome response. And currently, this technology solves for Discord and dubbed content in short format content. In about 3 to 4 months, we should be ready with our product offering for films and OTT. But that said, I mean, because of my connections, I have access to film producers, directors, and people in the OTT ecosystem. Right? Everybody is excited about it. I mean, we have a few NDAs already signed with large players who want to use our tech. So they said, look, whenever
Hmm.
you release, that's fine, but let's start testing it. How can we kind of integrate it in our platforms? How will it work? What is the training required? What are the things that we should do at our end? So it's good to learn before we actually execute. So it works well for us,
Right.
and like for every new tech which creates a category, a large amount of time goes in driving adoption. We've decided that we want to work with selective clients and selective brands, put out body of work that shows the best use cases of this technology commercially, and that we hope will instill some kind of FOMO for the rest of the market, and also
Yeah.
some inspiration that, oh, this client is using Visual Dub, oh, we should use it too. So that creates
Yeah.
some level of credibility. So that's our action plan. Next 8 to 10 months is all about driving adoption with very selective clients.
Fair enough. That makes sense. I mean, that's how I got intrigued and reached out to you. I feel like I saw a creator use, I mean, Varunma use it, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. And I think the first use case that comes about is any influencer creator that wants a massive reach, right? Like a Mr. Beast today has an English channel, and then now he has 29 different channels
Right,
in different
right.
languages. So this absolutely makes sense as a placeholder globally, not just locally.
Absolutely.
Um,
Look, like I said, any content creator, whether you are like an independent creator or you're like a large studio, if you are using language as a currency for your commerce, uh, that means that you will end up using our technology to make your content look authentic in every language.
hmm. So, Mandar, if you don't mind, let's get into the specifics of the
Sure,
product
sure.
itself. So let's take RRR or any of these new movies that they all do it. They shoot it three times. I'm assuming, right? Like once in
Correct,
Tamil, once in Telugu, once in maybe
correct,
Hindi, right? Like one of these three
correct,
languages.
correct.
You're saying with visual dub now, I potentially don't have to do that. Like I can just
Yes,
shoot in one language.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Wow, that's
And and
good.
and that's awesome, right? It saves money, it saves cost, it saves time.
Now, how far do you think the tech is there in terms of removing the dissonance completely? Like, do you feel like okay, yeah,
No, no, you
go ahead.
please complete. Sorry.
No, I was gonna. So I actually watched a few videos and they look pretty solid on LinkedIn, right? You've got like two creators kind of creating this, and they seem like influencers. Do you feel like it's there? the technology is there today, and obviously I get it'll iterate over a period of time, but do you feel like the tech is there today where a large production house used it,
Mhm.
they could potentially not have to shoot in the other two languages, or we're still a little far away from that?
Um, um, Look, we are probably a little far away because we need to put out a large case. Uh, for example, and I don't want to take names because it will seem like name dropping, but in the last 1 month, I met up with pretty, very, very A-listed producers and directors in the Hindi film industry, and they were all jumping to see that this technology is being built from India. They were shocked actually,
Mm,
and they said, look, it solves not only this visual the problem, it solves the problem of reshoot. It also solves another big problem. So for example, let's say you're making a Hindi film, but you want to cast an actor from the south. You cannot cast, right,
mm,
because they are not comfortable with the language, so dubbing will happen and then it will look out of sync. But now this technology will allow them to cast anyone. I mean, tomorrow you can have a Japanese actor in a Hindi film and speaking in perfect Hindi.
that's mental.
Look, this is the extent of where this tech can go. I think probably it will take about a year and a half to drive this into pop culture, where everybody now has seen this technology being used and they want to use it. So, thoda time lagega,
Mm.
but this is the future. I mean, I'm not I'm 100% confident that this becomes a part of content creation.
Yeah, I might even expand the industry. Imagine Bollywood saying, "Hey, now we can have international actors," or to your point, right? Like you can cast people who are from a different country altogether, and then find
Absolutely,
that audience as well.
absolutely.
Wow. So there's a the step towards globalization as well. But Mandar, tell me now, like behind, like under the hood or behind the hood, right? Like how does the tech work? Like if you had to start, like are there data sets that you have captured at the beginning? Like how does someone create something like this?
Look, I must say something about my co-founders. They are highly skilled technologists, especially in the fields of computer vision and deep learning. So this is the second gig. Their first startup was a facial recognition company where they learned, and that was the application was in theft and burglary, where facial recognition in split seconds is very important, and where the camera is far off, so facial recognition from a long distance. Unlike when you're at immigration centers in airports, you're very close to camera, right? Imagine you are on a shopping mall and the camera is in some part of the ceiling, and from that distance they should be able to recognize human faces. So they developed
Hmm.
massive skills there. They got acquired by an American firm, and they continue to work there as head of research. And they developed core competencies in training on synthetic data, training on unlabeled data. Then the COVID emergency came, where now the challenge was to recognize with masks on. So
Hmm.
and they solved for that too. So that gave them a very deep experience in research. See, everything is led by research. You can't just start building it, right? This is not open source. I mean, I must say that our technology is not from any open source modules or language models available. We have developed our own research. It has been filed for a patent too, and hence that allows my co-founders to build this from a very deep learning experience. So it's a very see, we must understand this, and I want to say it out. Our technology works on pre-shot footage or pre-shot content, right, on real
Hmm.
humans. Right now, this is something that not many startups have been able to solve. So you
Yeah.
can do this on by creating avatars where you control the setting of the avatar and everything. But imagine somebody shot a film or an ad, then you can't work on that because it's been shot. You can't control anything. But our
Yeah.
technology works on pre-shot footage. I mean, this is a big plus for us, and it's all come because we have owned our own research. So,
So Mandar, let's take we took Shah Rukh Khan's ad, right?
hmm,
Any one of these ads,
hmm.
and there's a 2 minute clipping of him speaking in Hindi. If let's say we use visual dub, does the content that gets translated with the mouth movement, does it sound also like Shah Rukh Khan? Or is it just the sync is super on point?
See, the sync is super on point. We can also make it sound like SRK. So that's not a challenge at all.
Okay. Oh, that's okay.
So
But usually you use, I'm assuming, pre-templatized voices that you can pick from them.
yes, yes.
Okay.
uh, Enough and more work has been done on audio part, so it's all freely available. But this part, which is transforming footage shot to deliver multilingual lip sync. So we're not talking one language. Our technology has been tested on 35 plus languages, including all Indian and all major languages globally. So we can potentially make Shah Rukh Khan speak in every single language in this world. And why just Shah Rukh Khan?
Hmm.
We can make Tom Cruise speak in Tamil and Telugu and Kannada, and that would be like awesome, right? Imagine the next part of Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part Two, and when it releases in India in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Bengali, Hindi, and you see Tom Cruise speaking all of those languages fluently, not just through audio but also visually. I mean, that's a treat, right?
Right. So, I mean, this is maybe my just lack of knowledge in the space, Mother, but who do you approach? Let's say there's a movie that's made in Hollywood. Who do you approach for the distribution of content, translating of content in different languages? Here, is it a producers? Is it how does that work?
So in Hollywood, you will have to go through the studio route.
Okay.
You will have to let the studio know that look, this technology is available for you to use for your next big release or whichever. I mean, Mission Impossible was released in 36 languages globally. So
And
that's the
that
scope.
was just normal dubbing,
That was
not
on no, this
okay.
technology, look, this does not exist
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
And I mean, there's only one other player that is attempting to solve a similar problem, but their process is very convoluted and time and cost prohibitive. So
Hmm.
we are AI, we are scalable, and
Yeah,
we have enterprise licensing SaaS options. So I mean, easy access to everyone.
yeah. Actually, Mother, that actually there are two questions based on what you just said. Now, let's say the entire raw content has already been created in English. Uh, they then usually you end up having like the people who dub the content. The content's given to them, and there's a voiceover that happens, right, in each of these languages, and that's I'm assuming outsourced
Yeah,
in a big
yeah.
way.
So what happens is for I mean the movie gets shot, then the producer decides that okay, let's dub it in 15 languages, for example. Then they go to a studio, then there's a script writer who writes a script in those languages, then there's a dubbing artist who comes and dubs it out. So now you have your film ready in 15 languages. After this process is done, that is where we step in. So our tech comes into play once the dubbing is done. So for us, our input is the video and the audio files of the dubs, and then our technology
Hmm,
works the magic and then gives you 15 videos out which are synced in those languages.
that's mental. So now the flip side of AI in terms of these jobs are going to be taken and then new jobs are going to be created, right? So now, Mandar, based on this, obviously, I feel like I mean, you can tell me what jobs do you think will get displaced and what jobs do you think will get created because of, let's say, your tech or competitors' tech?
That's a very interesting question, but in our case this will end up creating jobs. So look, we are not replacing anything, right? Everything goes the way it goes. The movie gets shot, the dubbing happens uh, through human dubbing or AI dubbing, whichever way. Then our tech comes into play, right? So it will actually create jobs of for people who become experts in this tech.
Yeah,
So we are
like
probably
users.
one of those very few AI use cases or AI technologies that will actually create new jobs, is what I feel. Or it will create,
In,
or it will get people to upskill themselves to be able to deliver this too.
mm, yeah, I think it's funny. I feel like there's a lot of hyper personalization that's kicking in with this whole Gen AI movement, right? That's one. And the second one is globalization. I feel like with your tech and like lots of other players also, which is now it's like, hey, why do we have to cater to one country or one language anymore or one place, right? So I think that's huge. Cool. So tell me in terms of are there any new products or features that you're building around, let's say, some of the videos that we're seeing on LinkedIn or on YouTube around VisualDub?
Uh, See, so there is our technology is core to us, right? So there are many ways to skin the cat, like we say. and use this tech for multiple use cases. So right now we are
Yeah.
focusing on advertising and content creators as two key buckets that we want to kind of build for and showcase for. And there really is a massive opportunity there. Just to give you perspective, and I'm speaking only for India, but this is a global problem. 98% of all ads in India are shot in Hindi. Then they're dubbed in multiple languages to be put out on regional markets, right? And they go as dub content. So for those people, the advertising doesn't look truly native or authentic. So usage of this technology helps advertisers to actually build native content without spending money on additional production cost to shoot in those languages.
Hmm. I mean, I see a massive use case even for entrepreneurs, right? Like anyone, let's say it's a D2C brand, I'm putting out a marketing video in English and I'm speaking,
Hmm.
then that automatically converts into 35 languages and I can do performance on each of them as a hyper personalization video as
Yes,
well,
quite possible.
which
Quite possible.
which is quite huge. Uh, Another question around the tech, maybe Mandar. Like I feel like when let's say there's a video of someone speaking directly in the camera, maybe it's easier. Is the tech there or will be there in the future where let's say like you took an example of Mission Impossible, right? Like let's say Tom Cruise is running through the field and he's speaking, lips are maybe somewhere like maybe a small percentage of the screen. Is it able to even like point that and then do the actual visual dubbing in that specific frame as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
See, the thing is
Um,
that I like I mentioned earlier, my co-founders are experts in human faces. So
hmm,
that is not a challenge at all. As long as there's a human face with a proper, well-defined mouth, lips, lower jaw, upper part of the neck, it's all possible.
okay, sweet. So, what are you seeing, Mandar, in this space as of today? I mean, I don't see any like competitor yet. I haven't seen other players doing something very similar to what you're doing. But like in the space of visual dubbing, what are you seeing as what other players are doing and where the space is headed with AI
See, there are a few players, other players trying to solve this problem. See, the reason why you've got like tons of startups in text to lips and not many startups on a problem that we are trying to solve is the fact that this is a complex problem to solve and it involves a lot of research. Hence, there are very few players who are trying it. But I would say that if the see this market is massive, right, and it is impossible to serve the entire market through one tech or one tech
Yeah.
offering. So if there are competitive players, if there is competition, it only helps to grow the market and drive adoption
True.
faster. I mean, if the entire onus of creating the market is on visual dub, then it will be a very slow and a painful process. But if there are other players who emerge, then then it creates a lot of noise, right? And then people
Hmm.
start looking for the right options for them, and that's where everything starts expanding.
Right. So based on this tech, right, Mandar, what's not the feedback on the tech, but I guess what is because usually when you kind of like jam with somebody, like there are new ideas or stacking of ideas that kicks in, right? So like when you're talking to let's say production houses or even let's say folks in Bollywood, like what are you are there like new applications that you're seeing, not just like let's say at the core layer of like dubbing itself?
See,
Anything else that's coming up?
there are. I mean, the visible applications right now are the solving for the visual discord and dub content, also the problem of reshoots, and the problem of casting. Right now,
Hmm.
these are the visible solves. But sometimes what happens is use cases are also decided by the market. I mean, we have only thought that this is what this technology will be used for, right? But when it goes in the hands of your client or consumers, there are new ways of using it that emerge. So,
Yeah.
it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this is so cool. I mean, I thank you for sharing and kind of blowing my mind with this. Let's say as more and more input kicks in, right? Like let's say I've uploaded my video and like now you suddenly have this repository of content of like movies and like creators. Does that help iterate on the model or on the product itself? Like, are you using that data to from a learnability standpoint? Is that data as a repository being used in any way? Like, what's how you
That's an excellent
approaching it?
question. All the work that we do helps us to train our models better. Just to give you perspective, we did one. I don't want to name clients here. We did one part of work for a very large client in May, and it took us X time to deliver. When we did similar work for the same client now, it took 10% of the time,
Hmm.
right? So what happens is, one part is developing the technology in your office, but the market teaches you a lot of lessons because the
Yeah.
market has its own demands and its own expectations, right? So it teaches you a lot of things, and that is very important to train your technology in, train your data,
Right.
train your algorithms. So it only gets better. The more work we put out, the better it gets. Sorry, like I like to say, technology today, and not just VisualDub, everything in the generative AI or AI space is at its worst right now.
Hmm. Like
I mean,
base level.
absolutely. I mean, in the next few years, it is going to like go berserk in terms of results and realism.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think the fact that people are already playing with it. I mean, like AI is here to stay more because I feel like the B2C penetration's been huge, right? Everyone's like playing around with tools, and the fact that there's if I didn't know design, I can start playing around with design tools, and similarly, if I didn't know dubbing, I can use visual dubbing tools. So I think that's really cool. But Manda, you mentioned in terms of it's helping you train the models. Like as a result, sometimes companies can be like, oh, there's a security issue. Like, hey, what if like let's say like I know like for movies when like Marvel when they're
Hmm.
shooting the whole movie, they don't even put the name out, right? Like they put it under some pseudonym. So is I'm sure somebody's going to ask you on the enterprise side as well. Like, how do you make sure like their data is secured if they uploaded it on Visual Dub? Like, is there
So
any
it's, I mean,
drawbacks?
we are using AWS and we are using Google Cloud. So, I mean, that ensures complete privacy for data, and we don't store anything. I mean, it's all. I mean, we don't have the capacity to store everything on cloud. So it all, and it will never be, right. So and most companies today have very strong encryption systems working across cloud networks to ensure that access is only given to people who are working on it. Now, for example, again, this is a normal system, right? When a movie is shot or when content is shot, it does go to dubbing studios, it does go to VFX
That's
studios
true.
for work, right? So
That's true.
what is happening here is nothing new.
Mm.
So those privacy ecosystems are in place, and we will follow all protocol. I mean, tomorrow, if say a Warner tells us to follow a certain protocol, uh, I mean, we are happy to follow it. So there's no rocket science there.
Do you feel like, given what you're doing, there may be a service layer also that gets added to Visual Dub, or this on the
What do you
enterprise
mean?
side?
What do you mean by service layer?
So there'll usually be. I mean, you're essentially now helping uh, maybe studios dub, right? And like there are maybe dubbers that start using your platform, or studios that start using your platform. It could be in the form of uh, helping on the tool. It could be also like actual production support or service itself. But I'm saying like most companies as they move towards enterprise, there's some services layer that usually kicks in. Could be 10% of the time. But are you seeing any of that? Like people coming to you and be like, "Hey, I need this customization," or do you also provide this as a service?
Look, we don't want to be a service company because that limits scale. We want to be completely move fast to a self-serve model. So, for example, let's say there's a technology called Pro Tools that is used in dubbing, right? Or Adobe has a product for special effects. It is just a licensed software, and then they keep
Yeah.
getting updates, right? So I see this being a licensing model largely, and if ever it gets into an enterprise thing, it might probably tomorrow. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, the universe listens in strange ways. Tomorrow, let's say Netflix wants to do a global deal with us, saying across all the countries and whatever, then maybe it merits like an enterprise solution where the entire setup is made on suite, and then there's a team dedicated to service the Netflix account. But I
Yeah.
see that as very small cases. The larger ones will be licensing. So, say a large studio licenses out, or a large dubbing studio licenses our software, and they keep using it for all of their projects, and then there's a time bound cost. Say the first license entitles you to say so many hours of VisualDub, and then once you exceed that, then you have to like pay more, and all of that is then related to usage and pricing.
Yeah. No, no, fair enough. I think that's the right way to do it also, right? Like, yeah. But tell me, you touched upon Gen AI being at its, you know, primal, or it's like just more primitive stage today, right? So, uh, where are you seeing kind of Gen AI headed, like overall in this space? I mean, because I'm seeing tools now as a use case for every part of the value chain, right? Whether
Hmm.
it's in marketing or sales and design, and obviously you're in one specific industry, but as a whole, where is this space headed? What should people be thinking about in terms of skill sets? Uh, like, should they be start playing on tools? How should companies be thinking about generative AI? Because some of them can be like, hey, you know what, it's not gotten there. I maybe when it's really important, I'll start thinking about it. But yeah, how are you thinking about
Look, I must say that this technology is here to stay. So, and in any adoption curve, there are the early adopters, then there are the followers, and they are what we call as the reluctants. So early adopters get the advantage of learning it so fast that they can make it a part of their business process like really well, and they then are ahead of the learning curve over their competitors. And the reluctants will have to then make a drastic effort to stay close to their competitors, right? Because generative AI or AI is going to just make business processes simpler.
it?
So there is no shying away from it. The sooner you learn it and adopt it, the better it is across all functions. That said,
Mm,
it is important for people. So somebody was asking me, and I said, look, uh, AI will not replace people. People who know AI will replace people,
sure.
right? So for everybody, I mean, from a CEO to the N minus 12 of the company, you need to have a certain level of understanding of what this technology can do for your business process, whether it is
Right.
HR or logistics or finance or legal, all the support functions or marketing or advertising or sales.
Yeah.
So it's here to say that stay. There are many products available across all these functions, and eventually, you see, people are going to choose what works best for them, right? So
Right.
so I mean that's really possibly the best way to answer this. It's going to be a part of our lives. The earlier we adopt, the better.
Right. I just suddenly thought of this, Mandar, like even on your like how you can dog food your own product for your own marketing, right? Like there's so many use cases that you could do. I don't know if it's something as simple as you creating a blog. You could have you creating a video piece yourself,
Yeah,
talking about visual dub it and convert it into so many languages, right? So
correct. I mean, see, that's why I said, right? You have to understand the tech first, understand what it can do, and then see what it can do for your business. I mean, that's the third and the most important layer, right? How do you make it work to make your output, your process better? And the sooner you learn it, the better it will be for you and your business.
for sure.
And I'll
No,
come back
that's
to what I said earlier. What is innovation today will be normal in the next 2 3 years. So today everybody sees it with
yeah,
the lens of innovation. That, oh, we innovated, we did this. 3 years later, it's like your base. It's no longer
yeah,
innovation. And the sooner we reach that point, the better it is for the industry.
yeah. So Mandar, today if someone wanted to get in touch with you and use your tech, what's the best way to do it?
Uh, Look, obviously, one part is LinkedIn, second part is a website, and unfortunately, my website carries my number, so I get like I get calls.
That's
Is
true.
this visual dub? And I'm happy to answer all of them. So right now, and this is what happens, right? As founders, you also have to do the absolute grunt work. So whilst I'm the co-founder and CEO, but I'm also the key sales guy for the company, right? And
Yeah,
founders really should know how to sell, because that's the rubber meets the road moment. So we have tons of
yeah,
people who sign up for early access. Then my number's there, so they call me, and then what I do is I assess whether they want to use this technology for business or they want to use it for personal use. So right now we are having a very tight filter that only if you want to use it for business, then we will give you the tech. And one way of
Hmm.
filtering that is whether you sign up for early access using a Gmail ID or you sign up using an official ID. So if
Correct.
you write to me with ani@gmail.com, I will ignore you right now.
Reject
But
me.
uh, but I wouldn't reject, but I will ignore for the time being. But if you write as say ani@unilever.com, that means there's a business case and there's a serious reason for access, and then I'm happy to kind of give that access and then do like a demo or something.
Awesome. Great, Mandar. Thank you so much for today. I feel like I think maybe the most important piece was like how they can get in touch with you, how they can use the tech, and you talking about the use case. I actually look forward to when this kind of becomes ubiquitous, right? Like just and not just using VisualDub, right? Like this technology itself. Like I'm super excited that hey, we're creating this podcast. This podcast should be in multiple languages. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
And we should have multiple YouTube languages and multiple YouTube channels.
So that reminds me, we're doing something interesting for an industry body, and they do a podcast where they interview a lot of industry leaders, and we are doing a visual dub in 4 languages. So, wise I can't take the name, but very soon you'll start seeing videos released by them, which will carry our logo. So that's something very exciting for us.
Will they be able to tell the difference on the voice when, I mean, maybe in the future they won't, but like as of today, I don't know, like for example, I don't know if you've been seeing the WTF podcast by Nikhil Kamath, and like he's interviewing VCs and content creators and stuff like that. So if that went out live today, will it sound like Nikhil's voice or will that sound like your pre-templatized?
So there are two things to it. Unless you are a Shah Rukh Khan or an Amitabh Bachchan or a Sachin Tendulkar, whose voice is like recognized by people across languages, nobody cares what Nikhil Kamath sounds like in Tamil, right? If somebody is listening to him in Tamil, they don't know how he sounds like. So I mean, I could use some other words here to describe this, but nobody gives a you know what unless you're Amitabh Bachchan. So if Amitabh Bachchan doesn't sound like Amitabh Bachchan in Tamil, there's a problem.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's par for the
that's true.
course. Even Ranveer Singh, one of our biggest superstars, even see his ads that are dubbed in Tamil, Telugu, or Kannada. He doesn't sound like Ranveer Singh at all. They don't care.
Yeah, uh, that is so true. Because half the people just listen to the message, right? It's not so much
Correct,
the
correct,
tone
correct,
in that
correct.
moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Only if you are at the stature of a Bachchan or a SRK or a Sachin, where your voice like everybody knows. Otherwise, it's all par for the course. You shouldn't stress too much about it.
Manda, this was great. Thank you for your time today.
And thanks for reaching
And
out. I mean, it was great jamming and great connecting with you. I felt a good vibe
awesome.
talking to you. We'll be in touch.
You too. Yeah, yeah, 100%.